This really is just Cowboy Bebop on hyper meth cocaine, but y'all ain't ready to have that conversation yet.
And you let her go. Fuck with us and then we tweaking, ho. Run up on that nigga, get the squeezing, ho. Everybody catch 'em, bullet holes. Niggas got me on my bullet.
Space Dandy is one of those shows that has just such an infectious sort of tone and atmosphere that really encourages the viewer to continue to watch it. It's such a joy to watch with its wacky and wondrous sort of environments and characters, and to me stands out as one of the funniest shows you can watch out there. So starting off with the big facts no printer, this show is 26 episodes long and is kinda old as it was aired back in 2014. Not too old, but you can definitely tell it has a sort of classic or antique look to it. It was animated by Bones, so definitely well renowned, and is available on Funimation and Hulu. And most importantly, it was directed by this guy, who made some really good fucking shows.
Staring at the ceiling in the dark, same old empty feeling in your heart.
So Space Dandy, as you may have been able to tell, takes place in space. That's a wrap. It follows the adventures of Dandy, an alien bounty hunter who, much like Spike, is broke all the time and needs to capture and turn in rare and exotic aliens to get cash to keep himself alive. He's joined by his not-so-trusty robot companion, Cutie, and a cat. Together, they wander throughout the galaxy in search of rare aliens for money that they can spend on Dandy and the cat's favorite place. Get it? XD. As you can imagine, their adventures are quite extreme and wacky. They go traveling through time and space for some ramen, they accidentally trigger a zombie apocalypse, they annihilate the universe, they go on babysitting duty, they join the Daytona 500, start an entire war. As you can tell by now, this is a very lighthearted show. It doesn't take itself very seriously and adds to the charm of the show. Hell, even the main antagonists like Dr. Gell and company are complete bumbling buffoons and somehow manage to mess everything up. This show is a witty and comical fever dream. There is no real plot or sense of direction. It's just Dandy, Cat, and Cutie seeing what kind of trouble they can get into and occasionally looking for a new alien.
It starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go.
Space Dandy is a convoluted, jumbled mess of adventures. It's such a lighthearted tone that throws the viewer into a world of mysticality and absurdity. It doesn't have a really focused plot, it jumps around everywhere with the central idea being that Dandy and pals are always broke and in need of cash, and that they're willing to do some pretty odd jobs for said cash. Much like Cowboy Bebop, there isn't really a defined meaning or direction the show takes until its last few episodes, where it really starts to hone in on a plot or clear story. It's a euphoric trip across the galaxy that, while yes, is very bombastic and extreme at times, knows how to take a break and develop Dandy and the characters that surround them. Sure, one moment you're gonna be waging a war over whether or not you should wear underwear, but the next moment, you're taking some time off to take care of an orphan. There is a swing of pace every so often like that in this show. Now, under normal circumstances, this would be pretty detrimental towards a show. Losing focus and constantly drifting between being ridiculous and taking yourself seriously can cause a lot of disconnect between the viewer and the show, as there's no clear direction the show is headed towards. Space Dandy annihilates this rule by being able to effortlessly blend together the serious moments with its playful moments. The show never fails to find ways to have fun, even within its more serious tone episodes, usually basing it around a wacky conflict like a calendar that won't change days or fighting a Metal Gear Rex. The show isn't afraid to be more serious with its characters, but by doing so, it doesn't sacrifice its playful charm and carefree attitude, which is really what sets this show apart from others. The ability to achieve that delicate balance of being serious and doing actual stuff, and dumb random shit. The characters are great. They have their own comedic charm that really adds more to the show. You know, you got Dandy repping the Jōsuke cut. You know, he's just a clumsy greaser, really. You know, he tries to impress the ladies, but alas, as he has no money, it's useless. Cutie tries to be the most reasonable one, but claims to be held back by his crappy software/hardware limitations cause he was bought from like an Arab Dollar Tree or something. Meow is just a zoomer. He doesn't do shit and he just sits on TikTok all day. The music, absurd and funky for the opening while very calming yet groovy for the ending, encapsulates the laid-back tone of the show and eases the viewer into a very tranquil state just from listening to it. The visuals accompany both tracks very well and help bolster the idea that, yeah, what you're watching is a fucking clown fiesta. Even the ending is just hilarious, perfectly accompanying the tone of the show. I'm obviously not going to spoil it, but just the way it was handled and built up was a finale fitting of the rambunctious space rodeo himself. Now, it's not a perfect show. For many, the idea of watching a show that is just a mess of random adventures loosely strung together doesn't sit well with them, and I can see where they're coming from. It's a chore to sit through some episodes, especially when you're expecting some more traditional storytelling that follows, you know, a coherent plot or direction. But to me, that's Space Dandy's charm. The fact that it is so disillusioned and all over the place only adds onto the wacky and bizarre atmosphere the show embraces. It's a roller coaster of euphoria that explores a new idiotic idea every single episode while not shying away from being serious with itself with a plethora of exotic and eye-melting settings like these big-ass anime This show is hit or miss for a lot of people. But speaking from my personal opinion, I think Space Dandy fits comfortably at a 4. I want to clarify, this show will not be everybody's cup of tea. From my point of view, I didn't find the structure of the show distracting, so I was able to confidently give it a 4. However, there may also be people who abandoned the show after its first 3 episodes out of pure disgust for its random bullshit that it throws at you. This is a show I cannot confidently recommend to a viewer. My only suggestion is that after learning what I have told you regarding this show, you can make the decision for yourself. If you're expecting something like Cowboy Bebop all the way, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. This show leans more towards the Carol and Tuesday, or to some extent Samurai Champloo side of the Shinichiro Watanabe scale. But if you found those two shows enjoyable, I don't think you could go wrong trying the show out and experiencing the madness for yourself.
So Flyday, Flyday, Chinatown. 真夜中の人混みに So Flyday, Flyday, Chinatown. 弾けるネオンサイン。肩にぶつかる人